survival. This is proof that what tried to destroy you failed. If you've ever cried in silence, if you've ever felt like giving up, if you've ever been pushed to your limit, but somehow you're still here, that means something. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes if you need to. Feel your heartbeat. That's not weakness. That's proof. You didn't break. Let's go. They tried to break me, but they didn't know who made me. I bent, but I didn't fall. God help me, I didn't fall. I've been through too much to lose. Now I'm living proof. You can't break me, no. God made me unstoppable. I remember nights I couldn't sleep, crying so hard I couldn't breathe. Praying, God, is this the end? Didn't even recognize me then. Smiling faces, fake love around, but deep inside I was breaking down. Holding on with my last beat of straight. Didn't know how much more I could take. Doors kept closing in my face. Every step felt like a losing race. People left when I needed them most. Felt so alone, felt like a ghost. But God, you never left me there. Even when I couldn't feel you, you were still there. You were still there. Oh, every tear you counted it. Every scar you covered it. Every battle you fought for me. So how could I break when you were holding me? They tried to break me, but they didn't know who made me. I bent, but I didn't fall. God help me, I didn't fall. I've been through too much to lose. Now I'm walking proof. You can't break me, no. God made me unstoppable. Now I walk different, talk different. Pain turned me into a whole mission. What almost killed me gave me vision.
Yes, sirree. This is Janine LaRue with LaRuelist Café. We are live today. And not only are we live today, we're going to have a live conversation today. Yes, we're going to talk about surviving. We're going to talk about when folks try to break us. We're going to talk about when we feel that we are down with nowhere else to go. We got somebody who knows how to talk about that. And I'm really excited about our guest today. As you recall, last Monday, we had our own Senator, Brittany Timberlake, who told us about her having her baby at home and underwater, all of that. And we want to thank our viewers for your support. So far, just on my Facebook page alone, of 2,000 people have watched that show. So we know that it is working. We are talking about things that people want to hear. We thank you for joining us. Now, somewhere, I believe in the studio, I don't know if she is available, but I hope she is our producer, Shanique Talaferro. Are you anywhere near? Shanique, can you join us today on this program? I know that she was having some technical issues that she didn't know if she could
Hello,
sign in.
Mama. How are you?
I'm great, Shanique. How are you?
I
Shanique,
am
we
doing.
got a show and a half today.
I am doing extremely, extremely well. As you know, we have been extremely busy at LaRuelist Café. We have a lot of things going on, and we are so excited about what's going to happen on this show today. If you are watching right now, what we ask you to do is just stop for 1 second. Scroll down where you see that share button, and be sure to make sure you're sharing this share button with all of your friends. We are so excited. We've been moving, we've been shaking. I've been working extremely hard, and I'm so excited to see all of you amazing, beautiful people. And I look forward to
There she goes. Right now, she is actually in the nail salon because we are going to have a big party where she has the Black Women New Jersey Gala that's coming up on Friday, and she's getting herself all did up. So there we go. Thank you, Shanique, and I can't wait to see what you look like when you're done with all this.
it's been a
All
journey.
right.
Thank you so much.
All right, love you. That's our producer, Shanique Talaferro. All right. So, as I said, we have an amazing guest today. She is stylish. She has been through the fire. She has come through it all. And I have to tell you, this woman, her story, I've been through some stuff. But her story is absolutely amazing. And if you can go through what she's been through and then end up making some big money, traveling all over the world with your own company, your own brand, with some of the stories that she has to tell us, she is amazing. So without any further ado, we're going to bring on a person I call an icon. She talks about looking up to me. I really look up to this woman. Desiree Peterkin Bell. Come on in, my friend. How you doing today? Uh-oh, I gotta unmute you. You can't talk about stuff unless I unmute you, right? Or you gotta unmute you.
All right.
You have to
I'm so happy to be here. I'm so good to see you. I just want to give you a hug.
I get it. I felt it. And look, as my mom used to say, you are a sight for what? Sore eyes. You are a sight for. Now, look, listen, Desiree, we just got to take a couple seconds, okay? We just got to let our viewers hear a little bit more of this song, really,
Oh
because
yes,
this
I'm
song
ready.
says it all. We got to do that. Someone just put in the chat, I love this song. I could listen to this song 50 times over. So we're going to do that for a second.
Excellent.
They see the glow, but not the fight. They see the wind, but not the night. I was drowning, but didn't die. I was falling, but still I rise. Every attack just made me wise. Now I see through every disguise.
Yes.
Built me from the ground. Turn my silence to a sound. Now my voice is breaking chains. Every time I say his name.
Yes. Yes. That part.
Yes, that
Let's
gives me so
talk
much
about it.
energy.
Before we talk about it, let's do the old LaRuelist Café toast. We are so glad to have you here today. For all of those people out there, men, women, and children who are going through something right now. Some of those who have maybe made a misstep on their own accord. Maybe those of you have had something done to you where you're signing in here on this show today because you want to be uplifted. You want to hear about stories where someone fell down to the bottom and rose up to the top. This is your night. We toast to you. All right, let's talk about it.
Excellent.
So let's hear your story. Tell us about your travels, how you started out on this whole journey. I mean, because you truly are an icon.
I appreciate that. I look up to you so much, Miss LaRue. You are such a icon for so many women, especially women who look like me, right? Not just in the state of New Jersey, but really throughout politics and movement work, and also in business. And so, thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for being who you are. So, for everyone who doesn't know me, I am Desiree Peterkin Bell, CEO and president of DP Bell and Associates. And I have had the pleasure of leading this group for 10 years. And so after serving many folks, many mayors, Senate campaigns, representative campaigns, icons, and the like, I decided to start my own firm. I am a mother. I am a wife. I am a sister. I'm a daughter. I'm a woman who is driven by purpose, not position. I have built my career and I built my team on that one principle. And we'll talk a little bit about what that means a little later. But essentially, for 30 years, I have been in the space of movement work, marketing communications, crisis communications, branding, high level, high stake events, politics, and entertainment. And it has been a hoot, to say the least. I am guided by my faith. I am guided by principle, as I said, a purpose, not position. And what that means is positions can be taken, positions can be given, positions can be threatened, but purpose is assigned. And that's what drives me.
Yes, and let's hear about some of that purpose. We have just a little shakiness in the internet, just a little bit. So I know that
Can you
you
hear me
did,
now?
yes, yes. So I know that you
Okay.
worked for, and it's kind of fascinating because I think you're a Democrat, but you worked for Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Well, tell me about that.
Yes. Yes. So I had the opportunity to work for Mayor Michael Bloomberg and just around the time, right after 9/11. I'm from New York City originally, so I'll say that. I'm from New York. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, in Brookdale Hospital. We've lived in every single borough, including Staten Island. Um, and I had an opportunity to work for Mayor Bloomberg after grad school. I thought I wanted to be an attorney. I worked at a really big law firm in Midtown in Manhattan. I worked on a U.S. tobacco case. I worked on Christie's and Sotheby's price fixing case in the antitrust division. And it really just wasn't for me. And so I was making good money, more money than I think I had seen ever. But I felt like I needed to do a little bit more. So I did something that most folks don't do. And I always say quarter life crisis is a real thing. I went back to school, and I went back to school to get a master's in public administration. I wanted to understand how systems were supposed to serve people and how those very same systems are supposed to communicate to people. And so that degree helped me and opened up a whole world to me. And I started working in Indianapolis, actually. So I left New York after grad school and worked for Bart Peterson in Indianapolis. He was the first mayor in the country to have the authority to charter schools. And that brought me back home. 9/11 happened. I was looking to come back home anyway. And I really felt a need to help rebuild my city, the city that made me, the city that, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. And so I decided to get involved in the mayoral campaign. And I had a great conversation with Mayor Bloomberg's team. And he was really just focused on getting it done, not the Democrat, not the Republican, not the independent, but really just getting it done and helping New York come back. And I really, really felt that that was supposed to be that I was supposed to be there. And so I decided to work for him, and I led legislative affairs. And in that moment, I realized that that was my purpose, which was to be in the place that birthed me and to be able to be in the center of everything. And so I worked on some amazing projects: the smoking ban, tort reform, film tax credit, and New York City Marketing Development Corporation, where I learned that a city could be a brand.
It must have been fascinating working for someone, a billionaire he wasn't really a politician, and someone who ran a city pretty much like it was a business. Can you hear me, Desiree?
I'm not hearing. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. What about the audience? Let me know, Ty, can you hear me? What about now? All right, Shanique, you can hear me. I don't know if our guests can hear me. All right, yeah, I'm not seeing that our guests. Tia says yes, she can hear me, but apparently Desiree cannot hear me. All right, we're having a few technical issues, and I think she's going to come back in, um, hopefully in a few minutes. All right, so Angela, you said that you can hear me. That's a good thing that you can hear me, because we're going to hear some issues from Desiree about her walk in life. I'm hoping that we can get her back on here because she has a story to tell. She literally goes all around the world with her public affairs uh, firm. She's doing a lot of good work, a lot of social justice work throughout the world. And I wanted her to tell her story. I really don't want to tell it for her. Wesley, I see you, and I'm glad that you can hear as well. Can you hear us now, Desiree? Can you
Yes.
hear us?
The devil is a liar. The devil is a liar.
Yes. Look, we've been through that
Yes.
before. All right. So I was saying that with Mayor Bloomberg, it must have been
Yeah,
kind
the
of,
devil is a liar.
yep, and the truth ain't in him. So with Mayor Bloomberg, it must have been fascinating working for him. Here is a man who, a billionaire, who really is not a politician, and was determined to run the city like a business. Tell us about that. Well, I think we may have lost Desiree again. She is frozen. All right. So let's um let's give her a chance to come back in, and we don't go to commercial breaks. So yes, can Shanique, but you can hear me, right? Yeah, so folks are saying they can hear me, so apparently my internet is good. All right. Give us a minute, folks.
All right, we're gonna do it this way. We're gonna get this.
Oh my goodness. You're on your phone, I bet.
I am on my phone. I told you we're gonna make this happen.
That works. That works.
Yes, we're gonna make this happen.
All right. So we were talking about Mayor Bloomberg, the fact that
Yes.
he is not a politician and he wanted to run the city pretty much like a business. Tell us about that. What it was like working for him.
Yeah, it was, to be honest, it was, I learned so much. And I learned, especially after 9/11, which was one of the most horrific events ever to happen in this country, on American soil, terrorist attacks. It was a time for the city to come together, and there was a certain kind of leadership, I believe, this is all my opinion, that was needed for that moment. And that was to bring New York back, to make New York safe, feel safe, but also to think innovatively about this city. And so what I learned was, nothing is off limits, meaning the traditional ways that people thought about government, thought about service, thought about communication, and even thought about cities had to be thrown out the door. We were entering a new realm of what New York was going to be, not what it was. We were also reconnecting and redefining how a government was going to communicate with its constituents. And so I learned a lot. On the legislative side, I spent a lot of time lobbying on behalf of the administration, the 51 city council members in New York City. That's right, there's 51 of them. Um, and I worked on the smoking ban, tort reform, and the film tax credit. which were pieces of legislation that have changed the scope of the city to this day, especially the smoking ban. Back then, folks couldn't even imagine how crazy it was that a smoking ban was going to be implemented in the city of New York, but we were able to get it done because we were really, again, redefining how the government was going to protect its workers and protect the workers in New York City, period. Um, One of the most, I will say, challenging moments happened to me while I worked for Mayor Bloomberg. Um, and that was when I walked into City Hall on July 23rd, 2003. And I walked in with a friend of mine, Councilman James Davis. And I walked in with another gentleman whose name I don't often say. Um, it's still, still a little hard
Mm-hmm.
for me to say. But we walked into City Hall and it was like a day like no other. Um, and it was a stated meeting. So that's when all the city council comes together and they pass their laws and they, listen to the administration in response to those laws. And on that day, this gentleman I walked in with shot Councilman James Davis right in front of me. And that day changed everything for me. Um,
How
talk
how old were you at the time, Desiree?
Oh my gosh. So this was, I can't do quick math. I can only do complicated math. So I was in my 20s.
Wow.
I was in my 20s.
Wow.
And for me at the moment, that was a time when I had made the firm decision I was not going to do law and I'm going to do government. And so I questioned everything. I questioned whether I made the right choice. I wondered how this could happen in City Hall after 9/11.
How
I
did he get
questioned.
through the security? I mean, how in the world did that happen?
So, lessons learned. There was a magnetometer everyone's supposed to go through, but what sometimes happened is, if you have a guest, then you guys don't go through, you go around. And unfortunately, that happened.
Okay.
Um, and he was a guest of the councilman's, and the councilman vouched for him to come through. He was actually trying to compete with the councilman and run in his district. Um, and so there was a lot of backstory that we all found out later on. But that day really changed how I saw um, everything, including my
Mhm.
career. So you talk about, being a young woman, thinking you made the right choice in terms of a new career. And then this happens, and you're literally looking up at the sky, asking God, did I make the wrong choice? Is this really for me? For those folks realize politics is a dirty sport. It can be a dirty sport. It can be a very helpful sport, but it can be a very dirty sport too. And that for me was the epitome of what that dirt can look like. It can take a life. And
Wow.
it changed how I moved.
Mm.
And it changed the questions that I had about what the role of leadership should be, and then what the role of elected officials are, and then the role of constituents, and then how do you communicate even in the middle of a trauma, even in the middle of a crisis? Who's on first? Who's on second?
Mhm.
Um, who should be the spokesperson? Who should be communicating with the law enforcement teams. It really made me think through all of that. So for me, crisis communications was something I literally fell into,
Okay.
not something that I studied. It's something that happened to me and made me ask all those questions. Um, that experience really shaped me. But then you fast forward, and I also had the opportunity, like I said, at New York City marketing. Mayor Bloomberg was very, very innovative, and he really, really thought out of the box. And we were thinking about ways to put New York City back on a map. And so he created New York City Marketing Development Corporation with the idea that New York City had a powerful brand like a Nike or like a McDonald's, and that other brands would pay to be associated with that brand. And so it allowed me the opportunity to look at cities in a completely different way, as a product, right? Also as a service, but figure out who would pay to shut down Times Square. And that's exactly what we did. We shut down Times Square for the global premiere of King Kong, which was one of the first of its kind
Wow.
ever done. We brought in the Country Music Awards. We had so many exciting things happen, and we redefined how cities were being looked at by brands, and we created a completely different revenue stream to go back into the city coffers. So I learned a tremendous amount from that experience, again, from Mayor Bloomberg's leadership, but also his innovativeness as well.
That's fabulous. And to be, look, I'm going to take a little personal privilege to be not only a woman, but a woman of color and African American at that. That
Yes.
had to have been an amazing experience for you.
It was amazing. I was young and I was allowed, the opportunity to really be in the rooms of power. One thing I will say is that, especially in that administration at that time, um, you know, I was told that I belonged there. I was never not told that I didn't belong there. And
Okay.
so I started with the confidence, even if I questioned myself, that I was supposed to be in the room. And that carried me from mayor to mayor to city. I never questioned being in the room. I always
I
felt
love it.
like I belonged. I just had to make sure that when I was standing in the room, I was standing authentically as myself.
I love it. I love it. So you move on. Let's talk about the rest of your career.
Yes. So I move on. So I start, at Bart Peterson, Indianapolis. I moved back home to New York City. And then I began to work in the city of Newark, New Jersey with then Mayor Cory Booker, now Senator Booker. And I was his first communications director. And again, I took a lot of what I learned from New York City, also from Indianapolis, and created a brand in a city. And I also say created a brand in a man and a brand in the city. And so,
And that's when I learned of your brilliance with
yeah.
Corey. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And it was an again amazing experience. I think I learned also to think innovatively about how to convey the good stories that happen in a city that is predominantly black and brown, right? And a time when folks only wanted to come to the city of Newark if it bled, it led, right? And so if anything negative was happening, we had 4 5 cameras. And if anything positive happened, I had to work you know, triple time to make sure I would get one camera. So that really irked me so much. And we really became on the cutting edge of social media because we said, well, we have to create our own stories. If they won't come, we will build it. And we will define our own story, our own brand, and our own trajectory for storytelling. And so that's exactly what we did. So we decided to really jump into social media. Then Mayor Booker was one of the first folks, significant folks on Twitter,
Yeah.
where we created a whole broadcast channel. And some people don't remember this, but I'm going to tell a quick story. Some of the you may remember, but so years ago, when Conan O'Brien was on late night TV, he did a horrible joke about the city of Newark.
Yep.
And everybody laughed, and I was so mad. And I remember texting the mayor late that night saying they can't joke on our city. And I said, I'm going to write to them and I'm going to complain. And I did. And I wrote and I complained. And Britt Kahn, I'll never forget her name. She was the executive producer at the time, reached out to me and said, we cannot believe you wrote us. It was a joke, but we'd like to invite the mayor on the show. And we had a chance to really highlight
Yep.
all the good stuff in the city of Newark by having the mayor on the show.
I
So,
remember that. I was at
yeah.
RWJ Barnabas and I was like, wow, because he was already a rock star to us. I mean, the fact that he actually became mayor, that in itself was something else. And then now he became a rock star on TV. And then this thing of selfies comes out and
Yes.
he became the rock star of selfies. So that's beautiful. What a great story. What a
Yeah,
great
that was,
story.
but what that also taught me was, and again, learning this from the Bloomberg administration and from my time there, was don't ever be afraid to at least ask a question, right? And so I could have let that joke go, and billions of
And
Americans
missed
were laughing.
opportunities,
And
Desiree. Right?
right, but I took the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm going to tell them this wasn't funny, and here's why it wasn't funny.
It's fabulous. And let's move on through your career
Yeah.
that got you to where you are today.
Yeah, so I left Newark, and then I went to the city of Philadelphia, where I was both the city representative and the director of communication. So, two appointed positions. I was the youngest person in the entire city to have two appointed positions. The city rep is kind of the mayor when he can't be the mayor. And the director of communications was a role that I had served previously for Mayor Cory Booker. And this role I really had to define myself because the city had never had a director of communication before at all. So that was one, which was kind of thinking forward about what the strategy and the storytelling for the city was going to be. And then the city rep, they'd had city reps before. It's part of the city charter, actually. But the way that I had envisioned it in my mind was something a little different. And so I really wanted to put Philadelphia on the map with a number of events, because I thought that the city, the fourth largest city in the country, had to really own its place in the listing of top 10 cities, and not just because Rocky the movie was shot there.
Everybody
So
knows about Rocky.
everybody else Rocky. And so there were so many other things happening, and I really wanted to be able to do that. And so, everything from Forbes 30 under 30 to um, the papal visit, to Fashion Week, to Jay-Z's Made in America, to the Philly 4th of July Jam. These are all events that I helped to reimagine for the
Yeah.
entire city of Philadelphia, so that we could not just have high stake events and great events, but also create an economic engine so that people were staying in Philly, right? And spending money in Philly and then eating in their restaurants. And so again, I learned that from New York, right? From New York City marketing. So all of these lessons and all of these experiences I've built from one city to the next. And then that led me to create my own company. Which is DP Bell and Associates. We work with people who want to make a difference, brands that matter, and movements, not moments. We've done some amazing work. I am incredibly proud of my team. I call us the small and mighty. Um, but I'm incredibly proud of my team. My team was we were the first folks to pass Breonna's law and her namesake, and we had then Governor Ralph Northam sign the legislation. We have run elections internationally. Some we won, some we lost,
Right.
but
That's the
lessons,
name of that game.
right? Lessons nonetheless. And we've also been able to executive produce a number of events and a number of shows, one of which was the Mike Africa on the continent of Africa, which was the first TV music competition born on the continent of Africa and held over 15 countries in Africa. We won a number of Telly Awards. We were nominated for a whole host of other awards. So we've done some really amazing global things. And one of the other projects that I am personally excited about is a show that I helped to launch with Dr. DeForest B. Soaries, which is Say Yes When Life Says No. So we talk about, the challenges that folks have in their lives. And sometimes things can seem insurmountable. Sometimes things can happen to you, or like you said earlier, maybe you make a
Mhm.
misstep and you're just trying to figure out your footing again. And it may seem like you can't get out of it. But I like to say that my story and everything that I have gone through in 30 years of having
Yes.
a career is an example of coming through the fire, but also living in purpose, not position. I mentioned this earlier. Purpose and not position to me is about not focusing on the position. Positions come and go, titles come
Right.
and go. People can take them, they can try to challenge you, they can try to
Right.
take them away. But purpose is assigned. And when it's assigned, you can't take it away. That is in you. It is something that guides your steps. It is something that you feel in every breath of your body. It is something that is going to define who you are, and what you do.
Let me ask you a question on the purpose, and it's not about the position. You know, sometimes we get into positions where no matter what the principal says, we follow blindly. And now
Mm-hmm.
you have this opportunity where you are your own boss. You are your own. What advice will
Mm.
you give to up and coming people, men and women, who are stepping into politics
Yep.
or stepping even in corporate America? And they are following the lead of principals who may be a little shady, may kind of play, the edges of the law, and you get caught up in it. Tell me, what's the advice that you would give people, Desiree? Because I don't think that we help enough folks who are either going into government, going into politics, or even going into corporations,
Mm-hmm.
to give them enough courage and confidence that sometimes just no and hell no, and I won't do that, or
Yeah.
fire me, do
Yeah.
it. Sometimes maybe that's where we are. Tell me about that.
Yeah. I will say one of the greatest lessons I have learned is not everyone deserves your loyalty.
Say
Um,
that one again, please.
Not everyone deserves your loyalty.
That part.
I unfortunately have been in many, many circumstances where I thought I was protecting the title when I was actually protecting the person. And those are two different things. So I would tell folks, when you're guided by purpose, your goal is, and your purpose really is, to make sure that you never compromise who you are for anybody, any situation, no matter what title they have, period. That is extremely important. And the second, like I said, is not everyone deserves your loyalty. And the third is, be okay saying no. Be completely okay saying no. And if the situation doesn't allow for, tries to make it more difficult for you to say no, then that's a situation you don't want to be in, and you should walk away.
That's when
That
you
was
know.
one of the greatest lessons I've learned.
That's when you know. And I'll tell you, in a nutshell, if there are people viewing this show today, or whenever you view it, because as I said, we had over 2,000 viewers just on my platform alone last week, and people are still viewing the show on other platforms. We want people to understand, young folks to understand particularly, when you sign on to whatever you sign on to, have your own confidence when you look in the
Yes.
mirror, you brush your teeth, and you comb your hair. You do have the right to say no. But the other part of it is, if you make that misstep and you fall hard, what? It's not the end. The
Yeah.
story doesn't end there. It doesn't matter how you start out, it matters what? How you end up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I wanted you on this show today. I have been such a oh my goodness, when Scandal was on, um uh, my partner and I actually had special glasses made, wine glasses. She didn't even drink, but we had to have the wine glasses, and it became
Yes.
a meme. When Scandal was on, we would just put on Facebook the glasses, and it would say,
Yep.
shh, shh, Scandal's on. All right,
Yes.
because we wanted to know, what did Olivia Pope have to fix that day? Thursday
Yes.
was my day. And so we've all had an Olivia Pope moment where we wanted to call Olivia Pope, or now you are Olivia Pope, and
Mm-hmm.
people are calling you to fix things. And we
Yes.
just want folks to know it ain't over until God says it's over.
100%. And purpose, right? I mean, you have to know your
Purpose.
purpose. Purpose, not position. I mean, I think, and like I said, purpose is assigned, right? Positions are defined for you. You define yourself in your own purpose. And so that's extremely important to remember. The other thing I always say is,
whenever I think about challenges, I've been called Olivia Pope many, many times. And so my Olivia Pope days are mostly over, I'll say. But one of the things I always think about, especially for young women, is the power of Esther in the Bible. So if you don't read the Bible, that's fine. But I would say just read this story, Esther 4:14. Esther, there's a powerful story about a woman who was placed in what seemed like a very uncomfortable position. And but she was ready for such a time as this. And a lot of times we may feel like we are at wit's end, that we don't have any other options, whether a mistake was made or whether it's severely insecure people are trying to get to you, because those things happen too. That's happened to me more than once. So whether one or the two are happening, you are ready and prepared for such a time as this. If you are steeped in who you are authentically, never question that, never be deterred by that, and stay focused on your path and no one else's.
They were trying to tell me that folks couldn't hear me, and maybe it's because I was muted. You would think after the pandemic, we would know to unmute ourselves. We have come to the bottom of this hour. And I have to tell you, you are still standing.
Yes.
You are
Amen.
still standing. I want to know, when's the next time you're going to Africa?
Oh, I was just in Tanzania in February.
Okay.
I am going back to the continent in October.
Okay. All right. So, and I know right now, I guess you are physically in New Jersey.
I am. Today I'm
All
in New
right, but
Jersey.
I doubt you're going to be there long.
Yes.
I want to say to you, Happy Mother's Day.
Thank
I
you.
know
You
you are
too.
amazing. Thank you. Yes, that's the most important job I have in the world. And I thank you for coming on. Desiree, you are a light in a dark, dark world.
Oh, I
And you are
appreciate that.
positive.
I appreciate that.
Second, third, fourth, fifth chances. And I'm telling you, what you do, what you're doing in the world, what you're doing for different corporations and for causes. And I have seen Dr. Sori's show. I have watched many of the episodes, and it did not surprise me that you are the producer of that. I look forward to coming on there one day.
Yes.
An amazing show, an amazing show. And when life says no, we know that there's still an opportunity for a yes for all of us. And we're going to take it down. We're going to do our toast again for LaRuelist Café. You've been an amazing guest.
Thank you.
I'm going to see if we can get this.
They don't know what it took to survive. They don't know how many times I cried. They see the glow but not the fight. They see the wind but not the night. I was drowning but didn't die. I was falling but still I rise. Every attack just made me wise. Now I see through every disguise. God rebuilt me from the ground.
Yes.
Into a sound. Now my voice is breaking chains. Every time I say his name. You gotta quit, no way. You gotta fall, not today. God stepped in, made a way. Now I'm winning every day. Pressure hit, didn't break. Heavy weight, still fake. Devil tried, big mistake. Now I'm rising, watch me take. Chains broke, off me. Fear gone, not me. Pain tries,
yes.
Me. God said, watch me. God, you carried me when I was weak. Spoke life when I couldn't speak. Gave me strength when I was done. Reminded me I already won. You turned my pain into power. My darkest night into my finest hour. What they meant for evil, you reversed. Now I'm blessed where I was cursed. I shouldn't be here, but I am. That's the proof of your hand. I shouldn't have made it, but I did. That's why I praise you like this. But they didn't know who made me. I bet, but I didn't fall. God helped, I didn't fall. I've been through too much to lose. Now I'm living proof. You can't break me. No, God made me unstoppable.
Thank you. Thank you, folks. Have a wonderful weekend.